Okay, guys, so we're going to have a look at dictation. Okay, so we've done some of this in class. I'm going to go through it in a bit more detail here. So for first year for dictation, we are going to do, there are two types of dictation. Just to be clear as well what dictation means. Dictation means basically writing something down. So if somebody dictates a letter to you, that means they will read out something that they want you to write down. You are dictating what they have said. In this case here, we are dictating music. So you're going to hear a piece of music and you're going to write down that piece of music. Using what we call standard notation on the stave, with the treble clef, different time signatures, and so on. Okay, it's a real skill, and it is a skill that you develop over 5 or 6 years in school. And it's a great tool to have if you ever want to have a career in music. Guitar players use this a lot to figure out the guitar chords of a song. If you're working out the notes yourself to a piece of music, no matter what instrument you play, being able to dictate is a really cool skill to have. And in first year, we're just going to deal with a very simple form of dictation. So for your assessment, you'll have two dictation exercises to do. One will be in 4/4 time, the other will be in 3/4 time. Okay, so here's how we go. So the first thing you need to know is your tonic solfa. So tonic solfa, just to remind you, is your do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. This tonic solfa exercise that I'm going to give you in first year will only be made up of do, mi, and so. That is the first note of the scale, the third note of the scale, and the fifth note of the scale. So if I just sing do here, do, mi is going to be mi, and so will be so, do, mi, so. That's the first note, the third note, and the fifth note of the major scale. Okay? You'll be given 4 bars of music, and you'll actually be given the first 2 bars. The first 2 bars will be written out for you, the notes and the rhythm. You'll then hear the whole piece played back to you 3 times, and you have to work out what the second 2 bars were and write it in. Now, again, that sounds like pretty difficult to do, but once you have a good method, it's not as bad as you might think. So the first thing you'll have to do is establish the rhythm of the second half of the piece and just jot it in lightly above the top. And then once you've established the rhythm, apply the notes. Whatever notes you think go with that rhythm, and I'm going to show you how to do that now in a moment, you're going to place those notes on the stave with that rhythm. So you kind of combine it all together at the end. So even put the note head in on the stave and then put the rhythm in at the end. And then end on do. So these will all end on do, no matter what dictation exercise you have to do, even all the way up to leaving cert level, it will always end up do. Do is like a magnet. Every song gets sucked back towards do at the end. Okay, now let's just go through this in a little bit more detail. Now, this is essential. Know your key signatures. I cannot stress or emphasize this enough. You can't do junior cycle music if you don't know your key signatures. A key signature, this kind of comes back to when we were constructing a major scale. So if we start on one note, call it a G, for example, to make a major scale, and a major scale is do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That's a major scale. To make that sound, to make that melody, right, you must move up in a certain pattern from one note to the next. You must move up in various steps. We call these steps tones or semitones. Think back to constructing a major scale. The first note of the second note is a tone, so one tone up from G is A. The second note of the third note is a tone, so the next note up is B. The third note of the fourth note is a semitone, so the next note after that is a C. So basically, to construct a major scale, you go up from one note up to the other, and you put 2 semitones in between the third and fourth note and the seventh and the eighth note. Now, look, I've flown through that there. We've gone through that a lot in class. We spent a lot of time on it, but there is also another tutorial on the site here as well for you to look at there if you're still confused about that, or get in touch with me. I'm happy to explain it. But you cannot even attempt junior cycle music if you don't, at the very least, learn this. And I'm just saying, even if for the moment you don't completely understand this, learn this. Okay, at the start of every piece of music you will see maybe a sharp sign or more than one sharp sign. Now a sharp sign again looks like a hashtag sign, and a flat sign looks like a small b. If at the start of your piece of music, beside the clef, normally a treble clef, if you don't see any sharps or any flats, we're in the key of C major. If you see one sharp at the start, we are in the key of G major. One flat at the start, again a flat is like a small B, we're in the key of F major. 2 sharps at the start is D major, 2 flats at the start is B flat major. Now, that really is important for you to understand where your do is. So for example, if you see that there are no sharps or flats at the beginning, we are in the key of C major, which means your last note is C, the tonic note, or D. Likewise, if we see one sharp at the start, we're in the key of G, and your last note will be G. So do is always the name of the scale. So if you're in the key of F major, do is F. Therefore, in your dictation exercise, the last note is F. You know this. So I'm telling you right now, that is definitely going to be the last note in your dictation. That's not just in this summer assessment, that is always. For first year, we're not going to go past the first three key signatures, C, G, and F major. But you will need to be aware of these two key signatures as well, D major and B flat major. Okay. Then know your tonic solfa in these key signatures. So for example, in the key of F, we know that do is F. Right? Mi is the third note of the scale, so count your notes up. So F, G, A is the third note, and then so, B, C. So I've counted the first note of the scale in the key of F major is F, the third note in the scale of F major is A, and the fifth note in the scale of F major is C. F, A, and C, therefore, are your do, mi, so. Do is the first note, mi is the third note, so is the fifth note. Okay. In the key of G major, do is G, mi is B, and so is D. In the key of C major, do is C, mi is E, and so is G. So in your first year assessment, we are only going to use do, mi, so. Okay, it gets a bit more complicated than that in second year, but for this assessment, you'll only need those three tonic solfa notes. Okay, so let's have a listen. I'm just going to play this for you first of all. In fact, no, I'm going to show you. This is what you will get. Now, I just want to explain a little bit here. These two bars in your assessment will be empty. They're full of rest there now because the computer software I use just automatically fills empty bars with rest. It's a bit annoying, I do apologize, but those two bars there will be empty. So you'll see 4 bars. You'll see the first 2 bars will be full of notes, and it'll be up to you then to complete the last 2 bars. Now the first thing you do is you look at the key signature. The key signature will always be here beside the clef and the time signature. As you can see, there are no sharp signs, no flat signs here. And if you've learned your key signatures, you know that that means it's in the key of C major. Right? There is another potential key. Some of you may be aware of it. We're not dealing with minor keys at the moment. And if you don't know what I said there, it doesn't matter. You don't need to know this for the moment. So we know now that the last note in our piece is going to be C. Now what we don't know yet is what value is that note. Is it going to be a semi-breve, a minim, a crotchet, a quaver? And we don't know if it's necessarily even going to be the same C as this. It could be up here. You know, it could be way up here either. It's probably not going to be, but it will probably be on the stave somewhere. Okay, so let's have a listen to this first exercise here. Now you will hear it 3 times. So let's say this is our first time. And what you've just been given there, what you've just been given there is do, mi, so, and then all 3 of those notes played together. That's what you've been given there. Okay, so you know what your do, mi, so sounds like. Okay, and you will then get a count in of 4 beats, and you'll hear the exercise then. So here we go. Do, mi, so. Count in. Okay, so in that case there, we had do, mi, so, mi, so. I'm just singing the remainder of that piece there, just so I have it in my head. So the first step I'm going to work out is the rhythm, okay? So we had ba, ba, ba. I'll do the solfa for this bit. Do, mi, so, mi, so. So I have to establish what the rhythm is first of all. Okay, so the rhythm there was ta, 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 ta. Okay, so what I've written here is this is it in stick notation here. 4 crotchets and a semi-breve was the rhythm of the remaining 2 bars. So I would just, if I was you with your pencil, just sketch it in lightly above the last 2 bars, just around here. That will do just fine there. Okay? Now, then you've got to establish what are the remaining notes. So you'll hear it a second time. There's your do, mi, so, chord, and then a count in. Okay, so now let's compare it to what we've been given. Sorry, this is what we've been given. Do, mi, so, mi, so. And then you have to decide, did it go back down to do, do? Do will always make it sound kind of finished. That's the end. It didn't sound finished there. It carried on. So you're left with your choice here. Is it mi or is it so? So you have to decide then, is it the same note or is it a different note again? In this case, it was the same note played twice. So we had do, mi, so, mi, so, so. Then we went down to mi, so, went back up then. So once you play your so, we put in two notes, so, and then you decide, is it the same note again? Is it lower or does it go back to do? It went lower, and then it didn't go from there, it didn't go back down to do after that, it went back up. Do, so, mi, so, and then we know the last note there. We have worked out what the rhythm is. So, or sorry, beg your pardon, that's do. It goes back down to do, and that's a semi-breve there. So again, let's just have a listen to it. Sorry. E, so, there's your do, mi, so. Then your chord. Okay, now listen, same note again. So, mi, so, do. It's the last note is a semi-breve, brings us right down to do there. Okay, so we have that rhythm, we have that solfa, and we apply that. So then once you've established the rhythm and you've sketched the rhythm along the top there, you can then, you've got so, mi, so, you write in the note then underneath it. So the first two notes here were so, the exact same note there. So in the key of C is G, so G, mi. So mi in the key of C is E. So we went down to an E there. And then we went back up. So, do. Okay. So again, just a couple of notes here. So at this point here, the last step is you're adding the notes to the rhythm. So you constantly should be singing do, mi, so. Now that should really be to yourself. So if you're in an exam hall there, you don't start blasting out do, mi, so. Okay. Please respect the people around you. And then you decide which notes from those three can you match to the rhythm. Which notes are you hearing in the piece? So we established that it was so, mi, so, do. Okay. Remember, we already know the last note is D, and we know that this is the key of C, so there are no sharps or flats in the key signature. So the notes are G, G, E, G, C. Okay, so I'm going to put a few more examples of these up anyway, but that's how you approach this. And for your summer assessment, you have one 4-4-1, but you will also have a 3-4-1 as well, and you'll hear each one 3 times. Okay, well done, guys. And any questions, just email me, let me know. Okay, bye now.